Welcome to the Graybeard Gaming Podcast, where we talk about the gaming industry and how it affects us as gamers and consumers. Hello, everyone. We have a great show for you today, chock full of studio closures, layoffs, and potential game cancellations. Happy stuff. I'm your host, Scott, and I have with me Liam. And if you yourself would like to be a guest host, email us at graybeardgamingcast@gmail.com, and we'll talk about it. But let's get right into it. Liam, how was your week? Since you don't work for Microsoft, I assume it was better.
yeah, but better than being in a studio. It's been not a great week for Microsoft news and studios.
No, not at all. Not at all. We're gonna get into that. There's a lot to talk about on that, and go through and kind of give our opinions and what is actually going on with that. But I myself didn't really get any gaming in this week. I had a lot of work stuff going on. I did play a little bit of Destiny 2, the new season, with some friends last night. Had a blast. And I assume you're still Diablo 4 in it?
I took a break from Diablo because there's new season next week.
Yeah.
I think I've done everything
Tuesday.
I pretty much did. I looked at some Game Pass games and enjoying little indies. I like the new game, a new one, Little Kitty Big City.
Oh yeah, I haven't played that yet.
It's fun. It's like if you play like what was it, Goose Simulator or like Goat Simulator, those kind of things.
Yeah.
So it's just fun. It's just a little enjoyable game where you sort of like have to try and get back up to your little apartment, and you're just on the streets wandering things, and just helping other animals. And I find the humor really funny in it. So it's a nice little cute game.
Yeah, man, it's good to play those games every once in a while, especially after playing something, extremely competitive. Kick back with something like that. So cool. I'm gonna have to check that out then. I saw it when it came up on Game Pass, but I've been so busy. I'm surprised I got anything in. But let's get into that, because we're going to be talking about Game Pass and stuff too. We can't seem to stop talking about Xbox, because every week they do something. I don't know. They need to step it up a little bit. So anyway, let's do this. Let's start off with some closures. So Arcane Austin, the guys that made Redfall and Prey, they also worked on Dishonored. They're gone. Microsoft closed them. Now, before we get any further, this is not Arcane Lyon in France. They're the guys working on Blade. They're the guys that started the studio, made Dishonored, that kind of thing. So it's two completely different studios. Also, they closed, which both of these are huge surprises, Tango Gameworks. Now these guys made Hi-Fi Rush, and the studio was created and led by Shinji Mikami. It was the creator of Resident Evil, and he made his own, version of that called Evil Within 1 and 2. Did you play? You're not a horror fan, are you?
I'm not, but I know there's a lot of games that have claimed.
Yeah, I played Evil Within 1. I liked it. I didn't love it, but it had a lot of Resident Evil DNA in it, and I thought it was good. I mean, it was very polished and just not my kind of horror game. But I definitely played Hi-Fi Rush, and it's very surprising for these studios. Now, there's two other studios that have been affected. Alpha Dog, which honestly, I have you ever heard of Alpha Dog? I didn't know they owned them. I didn't know what this was, but they made a game called Wraithborn, which is a mobile game that launched, get this, on the Ouya in 2012. But it also went to iOS and Android, and basically become
a platform to start on.
Yeah, I know. It basically became a mobile title. So,
yeah.
And it's well received. It seems like it had a lot of people playing it. However, that was all I could find out about them. Just that game they made, 12 years ago. So that's not a big surprise, I guess. I guess it was more like, hey, you got to go. But Roundhouse Studios will be absorbed by ZeniMax Online. Now, I couldn't find out what they were working on, but get this. You probably don't know this, but this used to be Human Head Studios. Human Head Studios made a game back in the 90s called Rune, and it was a Viking like action adventure game with multiplayer. And it was the greatest thing. It was a third-person melee combat multiplayer game where you could sever your opponent's head, pick the head up, and when they respawn, you could run over there and show it to them, like hold it out, and go, yeah, and then throw it at them and do damage. Same goes for their arm. If you cut their arm off, you can pick it up and beat them with it. It was a blast. This game was just amazing. And for its time, it was beautiful. It was using like the Unreal Engine 2. I thought they did a fantastic job. But they also made the original Prey, not the original one that never got released, obviously, but the one that got released for the Xbox 360. I don't know if you remember that one or not, but it had the Portal technology. That was really cool. You go in one way and you're upside down in the other, and it was really cool for the time. So anyway, they made that. Then they made Rune 2 into a live service that was just god awful. And the publisher basically, they released it, and the day it was released, they announced that Human Head Studios was closed. And then I think even in the following afternoon, they said, oh, we formed Roundhouse Studios. So it's like they released the game. I think they just fulfilled their contract with the publisher and then bolted and just basically shuttered the entire studio and then created a new one, which was immediately, they signed a deal with ZeniMax and created a new studio over there. And I mean, they just jumped ship, man. They just all like got out of there. So either that was a horrible contract or they knew the game was going to be crap. Either way, it got released and then it got pulled by Steam. It was a mess. So anyway, those guys are fully integrated into ZeniMax. So I think that means that there's no Roundhouse Studios anymore. Those people are just working at ZeniMax. So officially a closure. So let's go back to Arcane and let's talk about Redfall. Did you play Redfall at all?
Yeah, I enjoyed Redfall for what it was. I still want to actually go back and get the achievements.
Yeah.
It's definitely a reason why I would close the studio though. If I was Microsoft, if I was ahead of a publisher, I would probably do the same thing, because there's like real big problems with Redfall, how that came out.
It was, but it wasn't. It was rushed. It was rushed, but here, that was when they finished Prey. And by the way, that was not the name of that game. It had nothing to do with Prey. Nothing. Zero. ZeniMax came in. Well, at the time it was Bethesda. Their direct, publisher was Bethesda. They came in and they said, we own the Prey name. We're going to slap Prey on it. We're going to rename the game Prey. And of course, the game director was like, "You're going to kill our game. We can't sell it with that name on there." I don't even know what they were going to call it, but they made them put that name on there, which was garbage because it didn't sell as well. Everybody was thinking it was the other game or a sequel or anyway. Yeah. It is a fantastic game. If you like BioShock, go play that game. So anyway, after that was released and after they've got that in a good position, they went, we need a live service game. You're going to make a live service game. And of course, again, this is kind of what Sony was doing with all of their studios that make these, cinematic movie games, single player. And then they're telling them all of a sudden we need these other kind of games. You need to make them now. So this is what happened to Arcane. They were making this game. They did not want to. None of them wanted to make Redfall. Most of the people, I think 90% of the people that worked on Dishonored and Prey left during the production of Redfall because they did not want to make a live service game. And then when Microsoft came in and bought them, these people were like, "Oh my God, this is great. They're going to see this and they're going to cancel it, and we can go back to working on what we do best." Microsoft came in and said, "Yeah, it's all right," and left, and they were heartbroken. They were just like, "Oh my God, we've got to finish this game now." So that internally, it was said that that's the first And the last time they saw Redfall, they started marketing this game, and they didn't even go back and look and see what state it was in.
Yeah,
And nobody
I
wanted to
think
work on it.
Obviously, there's definitely problems with its production, with its development. But the problem I have with the game,
Mm-hmm.
as I said before, it was rushed. Way too early. Maybe they should have looked into it more. But
Right.
even after it was released, I think as a developer, even if you didn't want to make it, you still have a contract to fulfill.
Right.
You still have a game to make.
Right.
But it's been over a year now.
Yeah.
The DLCs never came out.
No.
Everyone bought the $100 edition of this game.
Yeah.
It was $100. I think that was the thing that really hurt it. If it was like $40,
Yeah.
no one would have cared. But it was $100, the first $70 title from Microsoft. I know that's what it was like. Really got torn apart with.
Mm-hmm.
And they still had no DLCs, and even the DLC wouldn't be ready till October this year.
Yeah, which is canned. So, they're giving refunds to everybody that bought it.
And now it's just canned. But
yeah,
even if you don't like the game, you just finish it. It can't take that long to finish your game without content.
Yeah, and this is what I'm getting. This is what I'm seeing. You're right. This doesn't seem like the Microsoft. Sorry, this doesn't seem like the Xbox from 2 years ago. This doesn't seem like, this looks like most of the games that look at Halo Infinite, which I use an example of a lot because there's a lot of examples in that game. Look at it now. It is in a fantastic state. It's got a very good gamer base, a player base. Even Steam numbers look better than they were. They're releasing content. People are making content. It's still being talked about. They're still, marketing it. It's doing great. But when it launched, it didn't. Sea of Thieves, same thing. Sea of Thieves launched, and it's like there's nothing to do in this game. Now look at it. What is it? 5 years now? It's going to PlayStation. Guess what the number one game on PlayStation is right now? Sea of Thieves. So that's the old Xbox. It's like, okay, we've got this. We see the potential. Here's some money. Make it work. It's a live service game. Continue to grow it, and it will grow and grow and grow. This is a new Xbox. This is we just bought Call of Duty, and now we've been given all this money and all of this time, and we got all these studios, and I guarantee you, Microsoft, Satya right now is going. It's time to pay the piper. The hammer's coming down. We need results. This, what did it make? 1 point something billion. Whatever in the last quarter. It's not enough. I had the numbers right in front of me. But yeah, I think that's what's going on.
Yeah, you think Microsoft themselves, the higher ups, such and all that, are just looking at Xbox and like, right, we just gave you all the money to invest.
Right.
And some of these games aren't performing well. So we need to basically trim a lot of it and get that like COD money going, and all these other big franchises they have.
Yeah.
And try to get more money in.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I'm Arcane Austin. Yeah, we can kind of see it, right? I mean, Redfall was an embarrassment and a travesty. I mean, even Phil Spencer had to go on and say, "Hey, look, we dropped the ball with Redfall. I mean, we just, we weren't as interactive with that studio as we should have been. And if they had been, they would have went in there and went, these people don't want to make this game. This game is set up to fail. They would have seen that, but they didn't."
Yeah, which is kind of funny in a way, because imagine if they did see it and they did cancel it, they'll probably get a lot of shit for cancelling instead.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They would have. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, you bastard! Yeah. You killed Redfall.
Yeah, you killed a game.
Yeah. What's the dragon game that they Scalebound, right?
Oh yeah, Scalebound.
Like, bring it back, bring it. No, Platinum Games did not. They weren't even working on that game, man.
No,
the best thing they had was like a little playthrough trailer. That is all that game was that playthrough. Every time they came back to see what their milestones were, they weren't meeting them. The game was not getting worked on. You don't want that game. They didn't want to make that game. And this is the end result. You get Redfall. Now, I will say the last patch that they have for Redfall, the on the console is the 60 FPS patch.
Yeah.
But it was global. It was for PC as well. The game was better. The AI was better. The
the game
graphics were
runs
better.
okay now, but they just. I played through it a couple of times just because, for achievements, and I'm just an achievement whore. But
right.
there's nothing to do in that game once you've sort of done it, because it's not even live service. It just ends.
Right. There's no end game.
There is no end game. There's nothing.
No.
It just ends. So it's not even a live service title. I don't know what it's supposed to be.
I mean, it could be if they got rid of got rid of the vampires and the enemies, it could totally be just, a walking simulator for New England in the fall, because it's gorgeous. That game is really pretty. I mean, if you don't like the art style, I get it, whatever. But like the buildings and the detail, I mean, they put a lot into the world that's there. But yeah, it is just so disappointing. I remember going to something. It was like something in the ground, and I found, and it's like something that you go to, and it looked, as soon as I walked in, from playing live service games for so long, I walked in and I immediately looked at it and said to myself, something's going to happen here. This is a boss fight. This is absolutely a boss fight. Big area, something, you got to like go up, turn this thing off, shoot this thing, all these mechanics. So I like go through and I do all the mechanics, and I do this and I do that, and then it opens a chest and I get my stuff. And that was it. There were no enemies at all. There were no enemies in it. None at all. It didn't happen. So I don't know. I don't know what's up with that. But
the state of the game, though, I would have just done the same. I would have been like, you don't want to work on it anyway. This taking too long for you to work on it. It shouldn't take that long just to fulfill people's purchases that they bought the DLC that was promised, and you never said anything about it. And now they closed. All of a sudden, they're like, "Oh, but we had an update ready."
Yeah. I'm guessing that probably enough people left that the production for that was not going well.
No.
And they knew that it wasn't going to get out on time, and they couldn't have another. They couldn't have another embarrassment. They couldn't go to Microsoft and go, "Yeah, we didn't make that. It's not coming out in October. Yeah, it's coming out 2 years later. Yeah, in the spring. Yeah, they couldn't do that." And I think that's what we're seeing. I honestly do. I saw the interview with Sarah Bond when she was asked about that stuff, and she was like, "Well, you know what I really like about gaming." In the game, like, she didn't answer the question. She didn't answer anything. It was a lot of corporate speak. Not at all like we used to get with Phil Spencer. It's like when they closed Lionhead Studios, who made Fable. He just flat out said that was a mistake. He said we did that, and afterwards we realized it was a mistake. We shouldn't have done that. That was a talented studio, and we just should have given them the resources. So now we're seeing, Redfall's an embarrassment. You're gone. Now, what else were they working on? What else was Arcane Austin working on? Now, they were support for the Blade game, because I think they do support Arcane Leon in pretty much everything they do.
They had vampires to support with.
Right. Yeah. Man, it's sad, but.
Yeah, that is the business,
Yeah, it is. It's business. We can't take it personally. But what do you think about Tango Gameworks? I mean, Hi-Fi Rush was a success. It was a total opposite of Redfall. Came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It was beloved. It was immediately liked. But here's the thing, though. It didn't push Game Pass. There were it didn't raise any subscriptions in Game Pass. And that's what they wanted. And that's what they wanted to happen for that surprise. And it didn't.
Yeah. I think the game probably didn't do as well as they hoped. Not just Game Pass, but just sales. That's probably why they put it on PS5 as well. and I don't think
Yeah,
they did
I'm
well
sure.
either there.
Yeah, and then again, you have to look at it's like, okay, if Hi-Fi Rush, it's out there. What are you working on now? Now, Shimji Mikami, am I saying that right? I think so. He left, and I read it wasn't a full interview, but somebody did ask him about it. He said that he wanted to leave 8 years ago, but he just didn't feel like it was the right time. He didn't want to leave his team at these junctures. But he wouldn't say what they were working on. I mean, we can assume that it was probably Evil Within 3, maybe, but Hi-Fi Rush was done by
they would
a
have had a
different
chance
team.
to if that was
Yeah,
the case.
I think that maybe with him leaving, they didn't have anything together. They didn't have another game. They didn't have.
I think. Well, I've read. I don't know. There's a lot of rumors as to why, but a lot of people said that was just like a skeleton crew left because he left and the others didn't have anything to go on. Which
maybe, yeah.
So
I mean,
who knows?
you got to look at it like this. I mean, Microsoft gave them a ton of money. Go out and buy a bunch of studios, right?
Yeah.
A bunch of, and they did. They bought, what is it now? 37 studios, I think, or more. And then it's just here we are in 2024, and we're just now seeing games. Well, they're not out yet, but we're just now starting to see those games in fruition. And if they're not good and they don't sell, because it's not selling Xboxes. Even the anticipation for some of these games, it's not selling consoles. I think Microsoft's just telling us like, hey, this is our plan B. We bought Activision. This is our plan B. And them buying Activision. Where is Activision? Where is Call of Duty and Diablo and World of Warcraft in their timeline, in their schedule, in their future? Where is it? Where does it go? What are they doing with it? Are they just going to do it like they did Bethesda and just go, okay, we own you, just go do your thing? Have they not learned from that? I mean, surely.
I think a lot of the problem with Bethesda was probably ZeniMax having that publisher power before. It doesn't sound like they had Bethesda Studios done well.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
right.
Even Bethesda, like, they take 10 years to make a game.
Oh God, so, yeah. Yeah, that's no joke. I mean, ZeniMax was they were having problems. That's why they needed this. Hey, make a live service game. They were bleeding money. That's why they sold to Microsoft, because they needed to. And then now they've got some really talented studios, but they okay. Since they've bought Bethesda, what has come out from Bethesda? Starfield
from Bethesda,
and Doom Eternal. Wait, no, that was right before they bought them.
Yeah,
that was in 2020. Yeah,
there is supposed to be a new Doom coming.
Right, but my point is like since they bought them, they really haven't produced anything.
No.
And all these other studios, they haven't produced anything. Nothing has come out of these studios. So, if I gave somebody some money and I wanted the return on it, and I felt like they weren't doing anything, or they weren't managing what was going to produce the,
Yeah.
I would be like, what's going on? You need to fix this, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's reasons that Tango Gameworks and Arcane Austin were targeted, and they're not done. They're not.
I don't think it'll be done now.
No. Okay. So here's the question: who's next?
I think a lot of Activision.
You think so?
Changed
around. I think it's possible. Yeah. I think because you've got some redundancy there still. That's where that 1,900 layoffs came from. It's like you got multiple people and multiple teams doing the same job. You can't you got to like pick and choose.
Yeah.
And
the whole COD wheel as well has to change. The way that Activision managed it, it's just horrible for the developers.
Well, I think
if they could change something around that.
I think it needs to be a live service. They're trying to make it a live service. Just stop reinventing the game every year. Just stop it. I mean, Right now there are two people: the people that like Modern Warfare and the people that like Black Ops. So why not just combine those and make it a live service? You got rotational maps, you got rotational weapons, you got events, you got skins, you got, stop trying to fit this thing into a full package every year. You're killing your studios and it's not sustainable anymore. We just saw this with the last one, with Modern Warfare 3. That should have been a full release. It should have been a full game, continued the story of Modern Warfare 1 and 2. And it was going to be DLC, and they packaged it and sent it off as a $70 game.
The thing is, as well, it's not just like, oh, look, they've done that. People still buy it. As much as people complain.
They do. It still sells. It was like one of the highest selling games, right?
Yeah, we still buy it as much as we complain about it.
Yeah.
I think Microsoft has to look at the studios themselves and say, look, what do you want to do? Because they've got like 10 studios working on Call of Duty year in, year out.
I know. And it seems to be that I keep saying this every year, like they need to just be a live service. But at the same time, you're right. When you look at it financially, it's the best selling game every year because it comes out every year.
Yeah.
And wow. That's like just
they allowed what, Toys for Bob to be independent.
Yep.
So that they're independent now, but they're going to partner with Microsoft on the game because they worked on Call of Duty, and I don't know why, because they're not a COD studio.
Because when Activision, this became a thing. They just started, every year they would add studios that they had to Call of Duty.
Yeah, they'll just add every studio. It doesn't matter how many studios work on it; it still comes out.
Right. And we lost some good studios that way, like Raven Software. Raven Software made Jedi Knight Outcast. They made Heretic 2, Hexen 2. Man, this studio, Soldier of Fortune 2. I mean, they made some amazing games. And now they probably make all the chairs in the game in Call of Duty, or well, I think they actually make maps. I think they do the multiplayer.
Yeah, I think Raven do multiplayer.
I think they do the multiplayer on this. Oh, well, I think actually they did a campaign. Did you too? Modern Warfare 2 was Raven. Anyway, my point is that they can only work on Call of Duty. They can't go and make their own games anymore. I mean, I want a Hexen 3. Who's going to do that? It's not going to be Raven unless Microsoft comes in and goes, hey, you guys go do that. But I don't know. It's not the same.
I think
studios.
Activision does need to change up. They need to shake them up. I know there's a lot of layoffs before, but
it really is. And I think we need to. You made a good point earlier. We need to get away from this emotional attachment to these studios. Even Arcane Austin, I've liked everything that they've put out. However, it's not the name Arcane Austin. It's the people in it that do it. And most of them have left because of Redfall. So that Arcane Austin is not the same studio. Just like Rare that made Sea of Thieves is not the same studio that made GoldenEye. It's just not.
Yeah.
These are made up of
Halo
people.
Anymore.
Oh God, I mean, and that's when thanks to Bungie, that came to that realization. It's like, maybe I should stop really liking these studios because they're stealing money from me. But it's studios get bigger, they grow, more people, different people come in. So you can't really take a studio and hold them to some kind of pedestal that they created 10, 15 years ago. It's just not fair. I just said that with Raven. I just all these memories of Raven Software just flooding back. It's like, this place is great, but those people are gone, man. Those people that made Hexen and Heretic 2 and they moved on. They're doing other things. It's not the same studio. And anybody that loved doing that and then was told to make multiplayer for Call of Duty probably left at that time as well to go do something else.
Probably.
So we lose these studios. It is sad. People do lose their jobs.
That's never a good thing, obviously.
No, it's not a good thing. But I don't think we should, look at Xbox as like, you killed us, you killed my favorite studio. No, they didn't. Those people were gone already.
They probably were in transition anyway.
Yeah.
With all these purchases. So.
Okay, so my pick for the next one, this is what the initiative. The initiative's getting axed. The games getting axed. The studios getting axed. It's on the chopping block. I'm calling it right now.
I mean, I saw a lot of rumors. One rumor was like, "Oh yeah, the initiative sucks. The game's terrible, and this is and that and the other." And then like a day later, another rumor. "Oh yeah, the game's gonna be shown at Microsoft's conference. It's fine." It's like nobody even knows what Xbox is anymore. So
I know, and I don't really think. Well, even if it was fine right now, look, this studio was made in what 2017, and here's the problem. Okay, at least from my armchair designer, studio head, whatever. Everybody has their favorite like fantasy band, right? Like your favorite guitar player, your favorite singer, your bass player, keyboard player, drummer. You get them all in the same room, right? It's like, oh my God, this is my favorite fantasy band. Everybody I like is in this room. Well, if you were to do that, you would think this is going to be the best music ever created. No, this is going to be a giant mess. Right, exactly.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that.
No, it does not.
Just because you have the best people in the room doesn't mean they work together.
Right. What makes those people good is because the people around them work with them. They work with them to do. When David Lee Roth left Van Halen, he handpicked people. He went and got like the people that were good at what they do. But he didn't go find the best people from other bands. He found people on his own and created a really like an amazing band. But it was because these were not the best people at the time. They are now, actually. But you see what I'm saying? It's like they handpick these studio directors and creative designers and all this, and like getting the best in the business. This is going to be like the best thing ever. And what happened? They were leaving. This guy left. This woman left. This guy left. It just started leaving. Nobody could get anything done because the vision that one person has for a video game, if it doesn't coincide with someone else, then there's a fight. Then there's you know who I am? You have to get a Cory Barlog in there. You just need that one person. Let that one person create their team. That's what they should have done with the initiative. They should have found their Cory Barlog. Cory Barlog, if you've watched any interviews with any of the studio people, they say that the key to their game, making a good game, is that somebody has a clear vision of the game. You clear it with them. Can we make this axe a little smaller? Go ask Cory. Oh, he said it's no because of in the lore it does. So there's somebody that has that clear vision. They didn't do that with initiative. They just did this corporate thing where it's like we just get the best people in the business. And here we are, 2024. We haven't seen anything of this game. They had to bring in another studio to help with it, and that was 3 years ago. It's getting axed, man. I know it because if I was Sadia, I would be telling them what's going on with the studio. The studio's costing us a lot of money. These people are expensive, and they're not producing anything. Done. It's over. I'm telling you, that's next. They're going to be next.
We'll see in a month's time. Probably.
I mean, and I'm not rooting for it. Believe me. Don't take that the wrong way. I'm not saying that
No,
they need to do this. I'm just saying that as far as a business, if I was looking at studios, as far as like producing stuff, the other one is unfortunately State of K3. There was a guy there. I can't remember his name. I didn't have notes for this. I'm just kind of talking off out of my head, but he had a clear vision for what he wanted to make as a live service zombie game. They didn't have the money to do it with State of Decay. Microsoft saw the potential of that game. They bought the studio. They brought him in. They gave him money. They made a much better game called State of Decay 2, which is still an excellent online persistent world, or not persistent world, but open world.
I should go back to that really as well.
Yeah, it's good. Some of the best times I've had are in that game, as far as like just intensity and with friends, and it's an amazing game. Still not quite there what he wanted to create. During the middle of State of Decay 3, he left and saying that I've left this with the team in a great state. Said it's going to be fantastic. It actually encompasses our vision of what we wanted State of Decay to be from the very beginning, and that was like 2 years ago. And nobody has seen anything of this game at all. The only thing we have seen from this game is the CGI trailer from 2018. You know what? Seriously. If this isn't coming out this year, I'm afraid they're going to.
I can't see it coming out this year anyway because I think it's starting this year. But if they just had all these games that we don't hear about and then say, look, next year, then I don't know. It's a very difficult balancing act to have with games and showings because you don't want to show the same game 5 years in a row and it doesn't come out.
Right,
but we don't hear a lot about the games they do work on. So it's like,
but you have 4 trailers. You have the CGI announcement trailer, or the announcement of the announcement trailer, which is fucking stupid. Then you have what? Then you have the hey, we're still working on it. Here's a better CGI showing what you're going to be doing in the game. Then you have the like the gameplay trailer with the release date, and then you have the release trailer, you know. So all we've gotten is the CGI. This is what we're going to have zombie deer. That's all we know. That's all we got. There's zombie deer. That studio just sounds like they're, I mean, in the interim though, holy shit, they have really ramped up like the production on State of Decay 2. They fixed a lot of stuff. They upgraded it. I mean, it looks better. It plays better.
State of Decay 2.
Yeah, there's a lot more content. They just added something recently this year that added like a new gameplay mode, or not a difficulty. So yeah, I mean that game's great. And I will tell you this: if anybody's played it, they know what I'm talking about. The driving mechanics in that game are better than some racing games. Holy shit! That they have the best driving mechanics in that game than most games of anything close to what they do. So they did. Maybe they need to make it.
Like tell that into the next GTA to have a good
right, exactly. Yeah, go to those guys and ask them how they did it, because it even worked good with mouse and keyboard. Anyway, all right, so let's move it on. So those
I think there's just I think there's just a lot of games that they'll show next month that's appeared, you know, like State of Decay or hopefully Perfect Dark. But a lot of games that have to come out because this year they have a slate of games that's due to come out. You got Hellblade in a couple of weeks.
Yep.
You got Microsoft Flight Simulator. You got Avowed. You got Indiana Jones. I don't know. There's Age of Mythology.
Well, it's the console version.
A ton of stuff just coming out.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's the strategy game. Yeah, but we don't. Yeah, we don't have release dates on any of it.
If that actually comes out on time for this year, that would set them up for next year. And then if they showed the games that we've been waiting for years, oh look, 2025, all these are coming out. That would be a good sign.
It would be a good sign, but do you believe them? How can we believe them if whatever even they're showing us, is it even going to be next year?
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, obviously things change, but like we've had this before with games. You know, games have a trailer and then don't appear for years and years. The first Cyberpunk trailer was in 2013.
Well, yeah,
that was the first teaser of Cyberpunk. Yeah. Bethesda have teased Elder Scrolls 6. Right. They didn't even start working on it until after Starfield.
I know, but there's a difference there. There's the studios that are like, hey, we're going to show this announcement trailer, right? And it's got to be great. It's got to be good because we need investors. We need people to invest in our game so that we can continue making it. Microsoft doesn't need investors. They've already got it. I mean, they're a $1 trillion company. You know, they need to stop showing us stuff that from a studio that they know nothing about, that they just recently bought and have no idea, you know, if they're even working on it. Then show us the CGI trailer, and then not even speak of it for 5 years. That's I don't trust them. Whatever I'm seeing in June, unless they say this will be out next month, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Even Indiana Jones and Avowed. Avowed needs to be out right now. Right in June, they need to say June 30th, Avowed, because
actually, I think of how might slip into next year, but
it can't. They can't do that because again, if whatever they say, how do you trust them?
yeah.
Avowed needs to be out. When Hellblade comes out and it's this big hoopla, I guarantee it's going to be something. It's going to be a hot minute of Hellblade 2, Hellblade. The Digital Foundry is going to be all over it. They're going to show how amazing it looks. They're going to say how crappy it is, 30 frames per second on the consoles, but here's what it looks like on PC, and it's a showcase for the Unreal 5 engine, and blah 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 and blah blah. And about 3 weeks later, nothing. You will not hear anything else about this game ever.
I hope Ninja Theory has a good release for it. I think Microsoft
I do
showed
too.
back 2 months ago, but
I'm sure it'll be a great game.
I'm playing through the first to keep up and just like play through the second and just fall into it. But yeah, I hope that game does actually well, not just a showpiece. I hope it's more than that.
Right. And I think that's what they want with the game. But how long have they been working on this? This is like a 7-year game. It's a 7-year game and a 10-hour campaign.
Yeah, I mean, they're still a small studio.
Right.
And you have to remember the last couple of years have also delayed the gaming industry a lot.
Okay, I'll give them that. I mean, yeah, 2020 was, disrupted everything.
Yeah,
but
we're still feeling the effects of it, even now. So it's not something to put lightly. And it's not saying it's an excuse, but people were home for 3 years and they couldn't go out.
Right, but it's
when you're a studio, that's difficult.
Well, when you're a third-party publisher as well, because Microsoft, as far as like, hey, here's your customers that bought your console, where's your games, and then here's your boss saying, we sold all these people these consoles, where's the games, So this June, they better, it's got to be on the nose.
I mean,
they better have
agree.
some solid release dates. Yeah. Everything that they show, they should be clear on when this thing is coming out, and what status it is in. If they show something,
I definitely agree.
Yeah, if they show something for Gear 6, and then it says like 2027, like rolling out with the next console, no, I'm sorry, no.
Yeah.
What?
I do think they should have like a clear roadmap. Yeah. All this year, all that next year.
It won't matter because it'll all change. They always give a roadmap, but it's just games just
obviously
fall
but
off.
Just like but show the gameplay and show different things, not just another trailer saying it's coming.
Here's what they can do, and this and I know I sound like a broken record, but they can say, look, here's Gears collection. Remastered. It doesn't have to be like super remastered. It can be like the Master Chief Collection. They didn't do anything to Halo 3, but it's playable on PC and it looks great. They can do that for 2 and 3, and package it together in like a $70 price tag. You get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe Judgment. I don't know. I'd like to forget about that. But multiplayer for all of them, upscaled.
So you want a whole like Master Chief Collection treatment, not just the 3 games. Them just like
even that you can do even that, like 1, 2, and 3.
That would actually be kind of cool if you did all 5 games. That'd be crazy.
Well, no, I think you would want to do 4 and 5 to some extent, or do it outside of that, and then say, hey, this is available right now. It's also available right now on PlayStation.
I do think they need something like, and this is available now.
They've got to, and it's got to be something we want, man.
Yes.
It's got to be something we want.
Not just this game's on game, a new game. Drop something.
It's not going to be State of K3. It's not going to be. It may be something that we've never seen before, like they did with Hi-Fi Rush.
I mean, there's still a few games that we're not sure about. So yeah.
Yeah, they could release the rumored Elder Scrolls Oblivion remake or remaster, that would be another great one. It's like, hey, you're not going to see Elder Scrolls for, you're going to be old gray when it comes out. But here's, something to kind of tide you by. And it's not Skyrim. It's not another version of Skyrim.
It's not another Skyrim.
Yeah, it's hey, here's this. And then followed up with, hey, here's Avowed, and Avowed gets released in July. Avowed, it needs to come out now. Or Indiana Jones needs to come out in the summer, just like the movies do. And then Avowed maybe later in the year. Something.
That would actually make sense. If
it is possible that, okay, like this, if they were going to close the initiative, which I think they are, they're going to do it before the showcase. At least I would. I would not want anybody going into that going, where's Perfect Dark? Where's Perfect Dark? Where's Perfect Dark? No. If they close it, they can announce it and go, we're proud to announce our partnership with Crystal Dynamics, who is making Perfect Dark. I would be perfectly okay with that. It's like they just handed it to a third-party studio or whatever.
Okay, yeah. You'd rather just hand off than makes
sense.
Initiative's
gone. They'll just have.
If you think that's the case, yeah.
Yeah, or I don't know.
I'm still holding out hope that there's no more studios immediately in danger. That's making like all these games that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah,
I hope that's just in June.
Yeah, I mean, you got to go after the ones that are not producing anything and not going to have anything for ever. I'm sure there's studios that we're not even thinking of because they own so many of them. It's just mind-boggling. But yeah, they're gonna have to show up, in June.
The thing is with the studio closure as well, I think it's because there's such a big publisher behind it. Because like Bethesda and all their studios that they own, and Activision, all like giant publishers. I think that's what Microsoft are trying to trim down. So if other people they might close this studio, I think the studios that directly own, I think they're okay.
Yeah.
Like Ninja Theory, for example. Like everyone's like, oh, will Hellblade be in? I think so.
Yeah, I can't see them closing Ninja Theory right after they release Hellblade. But then again, it's like, okay, that's great. You released a great game. What do you got next? Oh, well, we haven't really talked about that yet.
I mean, we do know that Ninja Theory has other projects in the works as well.
Well, they do, but that doesn't mean. I mean, what does that mean? Does that mean that there's a game that's almost finished and it'll be out next year, or does it mean like, oh, it's on a chalkboard somewhere?
Yeah,
you got to look at that.
I think the studios they own like directly.
Yeah,
that they bought like Playground, Ninja Theory, and it's got on my mind now.
Well, I'd be looking at Playground too.
There's so many.
Yeah, where's Fable?
Playground. Yeah,
where's Fable?
They didn't just show that. Maybe another Forza Horizon. I don't know, but
yeah, I'm pretty positive that we're going to be getting one of those. They're going to show one of those in June. And as far as Fable, I think that's if Fable is an open world, slightly live service game, which I'm pretty sure it's going to be, then I think they're safe. I think that Fable could be their, franchise that they can grow there at Playground. But some of these studios, and when they were bought, I felt like Microsoft comes in and goes, okay, so we own you. Here's a bunch of money. Make a game. And then they leave. And these guys just go, every developer has always says, like, if you have unlimited money and unlimited time, you will never finish a game. They say that because they want to perfect it and perfect it. Right.
Yeah,
and I think
that perfect.
Exactly. Or you have the ability to go, this isn't working, scrap it, start over. You don't have to go answer to somebody when you do that. And I think that Microsoft is just learning that maybe they shouldn't have done that. Maybe they shouldn't have.
Microsoft do need to actually keep the studio in check and be like,
right. Well, that's why they put that's why they put Matt Booty in charge of these studios. Now he's having to go to each one and going, what are you working on? And then he's got to go back, and then they decide on if they want to keep the studio or not. There's going to be, the axe is going to fall again, I'm afraid. It's just it's best. But speaking of axe, let's move on to Take-Two, and we can talk about this as a whole. But Take-Two has shut down two smaller studios, but one is Roll 7, which is a London-based one that produced the Ali Ali games. I don't know if you ever played any of those. And then most recently, what was the one that they did recently?
I know it was called
Rollerdrome. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also Intercept Games, which made the Kerbal Space Program, which I thought was pretty successful, but apparently not. But yeah, they closed both of those studios. Those are gone. Everyone there has been laid off. So it's terrible, terrible. Yeah. So those are, and I saw some minor ones before the show, but I didn't get enough information on them. So there have been a couple others. Now, Private Division is a publisher, and they did publish. They're like under the Take-Two umbrella, and they also published the game that I'm currently playing called No Rest for the Wicked. They said that they had to lay off a majority of their staff.
Yeah.
I don't know what that really means for them. They are a publisher. They're not producing any games, but I don't know what that's going to mean for the people that are, that they're the games they're publishing. So, and they're an indie publisher. So, and most of the games that I've played from Private Division have been really good. So I
guess it's not Private Division anymore. It's Private Room because there's not a lot left.
Yeah, either that or it's Take-Two Division. Yeah, they might just get swallowed up. I hope not, but we'll have to see.
This is the thing. Like, it's happening across the industry.
It is.
Like, everyone's getting chopped.
Yeah, Microsoft's not killing gaming. This is
Yeah, this is everyone. Every single publisher, every single studio has some closure of some sort. It's happening across, just everyone. I don't know why, but I guess they think they should have more money than they're getting. But
there's a couple of factors there. One is in 2020, we saw a huge boom in gaming because everybody was at home. And you think these companies would be like, well, oh my God, gaming is booming. I don't know why. Hire a bunch of people. No, they know why, but they want to capitalize on it. They want to ramp up everything.
You definitely want to ramp up everything.
Right. So they hire a bunch of people, get this stuff, get all the games out, and get the revenue and all this stuff. And then this is what we're seeing is like, okay, well, now that it's gone back to normal, we don't need all these people. We don't need all these studios. We don't need all this, and that's just the way it is. It's just like you go to Target. They hire a bunch of people for Christmas. And then when Christmas is over, that it's like, hey, this is just a holiday job. So I know that's not the best analogy, but that's kind of what we're seeing. The second thing is...
That's what happened, because that's what we'll do. All at home, stuck playing games.
Yep. So
I think that's a problem as well with a lot of games now. Why games are failing so hard is because it was 2020 or 2019.
Yeah, they designed the game around that. Yeah.
Everyone was trying to ride the live service.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's come out, and it's like, oh, Suicide Squad, terrible. Redfall, terrible. This other game, terrible. And because they all try to capitalize on something, and now we don't even have time to play all these live service crap that's going out.
Yeah, because we went back to work. And also, we can't afford them.
No, and prices go up and up.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
I mean, the economy is crap right now, and that's across the board. That's for everybody. Which of course, let's look at Microsoft's numbers, and you're going to think maybe this is good. Like, gaming revenue was up 51%, with growth coming from the addition of Activision Blizzard, obviously. Their content and services revenue is up 62% year over year. But the hardware revenue is down 31%. Now, what that tells us is that the services are up 62%. That's like Game Pass. Even though they didn't get new subscriptions, they raised the price. So they get more money for it. But at the same time, that's like, oh, it's up 51%. That's great. Is it? What was their projection? Their boss is going, only 51%? There should have been 120%.
Without the purchase of Activision, that would be like...
Yeah,
like
yeah,
2%.
exactly. What's it going to be next year now that they've got Activision Blizzard? You got to look at those things. So it looks like, oh, they're making so much money. Sony's, I had to look really hard to find Sony's. None of all the numbers were a little bit different, so I'm not sure how accurate they were, but they were all very similar to what Microsoft is as far as account sales and hardware sales. Hardware sales are down for PlayStation. You know,
Yeah, down for everyone right now.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's not. I'm not saying Sony's dying or nobody freak out.
No.
But the sales are down. The services, the accounts are down.
Yeah. I think the industry as a whole is just stalled.
So we don't have money for it.
It's
a
just
luxury
not moving right now.
Right. When you can't pay rent or buy food, buying a new console really just ain't on the.
No, and all these other publishers that wanted the big live service money, all of a sudden they're like, you mean people aren't buying at all because we're not stuck at home with nothing else to do?
Right. Right. Well, there's a lot of developers now stuck at home with nothing to do. Unfortunately, thanks, industry. But again, you don't know what those numbers look like in context to the company that is making them. Is my point. It might look like, wow, this looks great. Yeah. It really might mean they are in dire trouble. All the financial people look at Sony and go, holy shit, they are in deep crap right now. But of course, all the fans and all the people that are involved with Sony are like, oh, look at these numbers. These numbers are great. No, they're not. This is the thing.
Yeah, I mean, you take it to Sony, for example. They have so many PlayStations out there. They do every PS4.
Mm-hmm.
The PS4 just dominated. PS5 is selling 50 million units.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: Sony aren't happy about that.
Well, no, because they're not selling as many as they did PS4s at this time in its generation.
Like, how can you tell me? I go to you and say you've sold 50 million. That's not enough.
It's not.
Which that for like a normal person, that's insane. But
that's
the position you're in.
I know. For me and you, we made how much money? Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's business. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It matters how much the business is costing you. You can make a shitload of money, but if you only make $38 from that, once you pay for everything else, your production costs, then what does it matter? That 50 million doesn't mean anything. Up 51% doesn't mean anything. You have to know what the cost of. What is the cost? What does Xbox spend on Game Pass every year? What does it cost them?
Yeah, they spent 100. They spent 100. No, 100 was 100. No, yeah, close to 100 billion on publishers and studios.
Yeah,
as well. Activision was like 70 billion, Bethesda was like 8 billion.
Yep.
Plus a ton of small studios.
All the other ones, all together.
You put it all together, and how much are they actually going to make back on that?
Yeah, that's it. And again, I think that's what's happening now. That it's like, hey, we bought all this stuff. It's time to produce it. It's time to get in there and make them. You're seeing, and I said this on the supply drop, almost a year ago. I said, if they buy Activision, you're going to see a different Xbox. And when they did buy them, I said, there's a plan A and there's a plan B. Right after they bought, when it was like, oh my God, they're going third publisher or third party publisher, No, this is the plan B. They've got Call of Duty. They've got Candy Crush. What are they going to do with it? Do these other studios even matter now? That's what I'm scared of. Does Halo matter to them anymore? Now that they've got Activision Blizzard, does Gears of War even matter to them anymore? It obviously doesn't. They haven't produced anything with that name on it in 5 years now. So it's really weird, and I think it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Especially we're in like a sort of, we're in recession, and so everything will get worse at first. Yeah,
Sony's looking at the same thing. They're looking at these exclusives that everybody buys, supposedly. How much does it cost to make them? How much money they're making out of them?
Yeah.
it's nothing.
And how many do you actually buy them compared to your user base?
Right.
They could have 70 million people if only 2 million buy. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, exactly. And I would love to see the numbers of, say, Spider-Man 1 in its first year, right? It comes out in that 1 year rotation. How much money did that make comparatively to, um, let's see, I don't want to say Fortnite because that's in a completely different
No,
league,
no,
but
not
um,
that.
right. But anything that, oh well, crap. What's the other battle royale that came out in February? Dropped from Respawn.
Apex.
Thanks, God. Apex Legends. I'd like to
Yeah.
see what the revenue from that game is for a year comparatively to Spider-Man. I bet you
Yeah.
anything, Apex Legends made more money. A free-to-play game with microtransactions and updated everything in 1 year. I bet they made more than Spider-Man. I could be wrong. I don't know if there's a way
Probably
to
did.
find that out
And the
as
fact
far as
that's,
Apex Legends, but
and the fact that it's on every platform. Sony.
exactly, exactly, right. And again, Sony's looking at that. Helldivers 2 is on PC. It came out day one. They're looking at that because it's like, why would we want to sell 10 million copies when we can sell 30 million copies?
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer. But anyway, this year's gonna be really weird. I really hope that I love Obsidian Studios. I know I shouldn't because I just said you shouldn't do that because it's not the same people. And I really hope that Avowed's going to be good. It looks good to me. It looks like the kind of game that I want to play. And I hope it comes out very, very soon. Indiana Jones it just doesn't look good to me. I hate to say it. It just looks janky and weird. It's got a weird art style that I don't think really matches Indiana Jones. And now that I've had time to watch the trailer several times, I don't know.
It does look weird for Indiana Jones title, I have to say, because it's machine games and first person. So like Indiana Jones, and you've done a first person.
Yeah, I mean,
game.
I don't mind the first person
Can't,
really if it's done good, but it just looks
yeah,
cartoony, and I just don't
yeah.
want that from. It should look
Well,
busted up and old and dusty.
maybe it will do, I don't know, but I find it funny that about machine games went from Wolfenstein to kill Nazis to Indiana Jones
Killing Nazis, right?
Yeah, like can we kill Nazis in a game? Good, we'll take that on.
Yeah, who does that well? Oh, these guys. Yeah, I'm hoping it's good. Just for machine games, I loved the Wolfenstein games. I thought they were very well written and a lot of fun. So, and of course, Avowed. Sword swinging, magic throwing. Bring me stuff. Bring me some stuff now.
Skyrim-ish game that we
just
need as well. So.
Gimme. Yeah. So, but yeah, we'll have to. I'll just have to wait on that. Sony, on the other hand, what have they got coming out this summer?
Nothing.
Yeah, see, that's a problem. That's a huge problem. They need to have something. They need to have something.
I did hear on the on Twitter that they're going to partner with Lego and do a Lego Horizon Zero Dawn game.
Yeah, yeah. Along with the VR game, the TV show, or was it a TV show or a movie? I don't remember. And then the multiplayer game. And
yeah, there is supposedly multiplayer in development.
I did not like that game enough to invest in any of those.
I mean, Lego is the last thing I expected from Sony.
Well, they already did one.
Did they? Where?
Yeah, it was
what did they do?
It was the tall walking platosaur, with a plate for its head, it's like a flying saucer head. It looked really cool. I mean, it was really tall. It was like, you had the little Lego Aloy or whatever. But yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what Sony have. They basically have that kind of stuff going for them this year, and maybe an Astro possibly. But in terms of for big games, no, they've got nothing this year.
Yeah.
Obviously, they had Helldivers, but Helldivers isn't their studio, so I don't know. They have the IP, but
Right, they
in
own
terms of first-party
Helldivers, but not the
studios
studio.
from Sony, yeah, just nothing really big
Yeah, I also heard a
this year.
rumor that they tried to buy Arrowhead Studios, and Arrowhead Studios flat out turned them down.
I can see that happening.
Well, I
At
mean,
least a try.
like right now, it's like if you're a studio and you're independent and somebody wants to buy you, I'd say no. I mean,
And especially after
like hell no.
the Helldivers drama, the
Mm-hmm.
studio really seemed to hate Sony right now.
Yeah, yeah,
Over the PC crowd.
yeah. And we talked about that last week with the PSN account requirement and everything, and it's the community manager that was like, okay, so I can't really tell you that Sony doesn't like go to our Discord. So if you were to go to the Discord and then we can talk about review bombing our own game, that kind of thing. Like he was the one that was instrumental in saying, hey, look, if you do this, Sony will listen. If you review bomb the game, they will listen. And they even made a cape that showed the bar graph for
that was great.
Yeah, I'm like,
say that was great.
Man, again, don't love a studio. It's love the people in it. I love the people in Arrowhead. They're really good, and I think that that's our happy note. I think we can give everyone a heartfelt "you're welcome" after we uploaded our episode last week. Sony revealed the PSN account requirement on Helldivers 2. Allowing people that bought the game in countries that don't have excuse me PSN to keep playing the game, with a tweet that reads verbatim. Thanks to the Graybeard Gaming Podcast for calling out our corpo douchery. We are reversing our decision to require a PSN account to play Helldivers 2 on PC. We will do better. So you're welcome, everybody. And of course, that's partly a lie. What it actually said is, Helldivers fans, we've heard your feedback on the Helldivers 2 account linking update. The May 6 update, which would have required Steam and PlayStation Network account linking for new players and for current players beginning May 30th, will not be moving forward. We're still learning what is best for PC players, and your feedback has been invaluable. Thanks again for your continued support for Helldivers 2, and we'll keep you updated on future plans. So yeah, that is the exact response that they should have done, and admitting that yes, they are still learning what's best for PC players. We don't take that shit. just flat out, even if someone can't play it in another country I did not know of before reading about it, in this instance, I don't care. I will review bomb a game stating that, because that's not right. You can't sell somebody a game and then take it away from them because they want to show they're just like Microsoft as far as, hey, we want we want to bolster those account numbers, right? Here's a good way to do it. Require that. And somebody actually looked it up. Everybody on PlayStation was like, well, it just said it when you bought the game. No, it didn't. It actually did not. It said that it was not required. Then they went back and changed it to say it will require an account. So, yeah. So, yeah, we did it. In a way. I mean, I felt like we helped a little bit, but yeah, we weren't exactly instrumental in
good
that.
on Arrowhead to actually look out for the players on that.
Yeah, unfortunately, that community manager did lose his job over it. And a head had to fall. Somebody had to, I guess, take the blame. He probably shouldn't have done that. He probably didn't have to do that because it would have got review bombed anyway, I think, by people that, know what they're doing.
It's also just funny, like the developers themselves. Yeah, we don't care. Like, just shit on this game.
Right, exactly. If you got to review bomb it, I'm not going to tell you not to. Yeah. But it did. It worked. Sony looked at it. And Sony needs to learn this. It's not, they've finally, after all of these years, have figured out that PC players are not going to buy their console. We're just not going to do it, And if we have to, steal your game and, pirate it to play it on a PC, then that will happen. Not saying I'm doing that, but I'm saying that will happen. But if you make a good version of it, put it on Steam at a good price, you'll sell it. Helldivers 2 shows that. For Horizon showed that. Spider-Man showed that. They all sold well on Steam. So, moving forward, they'll do that. So that is a little bit of a, it doesn't make up for all these people that lost their jobs, but at least this week had some kind of redeeming, positive gaming news, I guess. And also Roger Corman died. Did you know who that is?
No.
He made a lot of awesomely bad sci-fi movies. Lived to a ripe old age of 98. So anyway, but yeah. So at least we can leave on, some kind of high note there. And wow, what is this week gonna offer us? I can't wait. I'm scared. I don't know if
Twitter will just implode or something.
I don't know. Thank God, we didn't get bought by a third-party publisher. They probably would have shut us down immediately. But anyway, all right. Well, that's it for this week. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week. And, be friendly, everybody.